Not too shabby. All right, guys, let's get into the game. Remember, there's 3 qualifying games for each group to get into the finals. So let's jump into map 1 for Group A on your screen. None other than Jared FPS alongside his teammates in FaZe Blue, Dakota and Co. looking to make an impact here, all alive and well. So that's certainly good news for them, but maybe not a lot of kills necessarily off rip. You can see someone at the top of the water tower. We saw Breadman utilizing that location very effectively yesterday, but what we also saw is the danger inherent within that, which is, hey, if someone catches you out, you're not going to have a fun time.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing, was obviously high ground control has always been the name of the game for Rebirth, but it was very evident when it came down to positions on top of prison and, as you mentioned, either water tower or sniper tower, depending on how the circle was moving. So many kills were tallied from players that were able to hold on to those locations. But as we get on board here with a team that I think both of us really want to see adjust, we've got Noobs, Tommy, Almond, and Kens, and they struggled yesterday. I think they finished 7th overall in their overall group in the opening stages of Group A, and I think a lot of their problems were kind of the things we were mentioning. They were finding okay kills, but never in a position to fight for the final circle, and that has to change today in my mind.
Yeah, we'd have to go back and take a look, but I would imagine it was a mix of things, right? We know how good TBE is as a squad. We know how good Kens is. She has a lot of synergy with them already, so you have to ask the question, how does a team like that you would assume is a front runner take 7th and not even make it to a final?
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
There's a lot of things. I mean, Rebirth is not going to play the same as traditional Caldera, and I would have to think they've made the adjustments, whether it's in the positioning, when they want to split, when they want to group together, how they want to do those rotations toward that end game. I'm sure they've had talks about that yesterday, so I would expect to see an improved performance from them so far. And, well, IQ, a nice job just waiting for the player to come around the corner, slide cancels around, breaks that camera and gets himself a nice kill. And speaking of the team we were just talking about, well, that'll be Tommy, Almond, Noobs, and Kens. And Tommy with at least one does get down, but the trade should be there shortly for him on the side of Kens.
The thing was, though, it's not just the fact that he was taken down, but that was actually someone at range, I want to say. So this is kind of maybe a two-folded fight that Tommy, Almond, and Noobs and Kens are running into at the moment. You see the pings are coming through. There are still more players nearby as Kens is taken down. Almond is playing, by the way, again, separated from the rest of this duo. So this looks like they're trying to do that same kind of separation idea that you kind of, I would say, most characteristically attributed to them when they were playing through Verdansk. But I will lie, like, this can work, but only if you're able to cleanly move through fights, because I felt like yesterday, every single time they went on this little 2-2 split, they were taking 2v4s at least almost every single time, and they really weren't finding the kills, even though the damage was decent.
The damage might be decent, unless your 5x5's team that we mentioned earlier. They were the 5th place team that did not get a high enough score to get into the final, and they were not able to make it out of the openings of this map either. They are our first team that's been eliminated so far. 8 teams remaining as a rash of people die. You can see that in the top right as we have Mutex on your screen. He's about to be one of them. So the rest of his team alive and well, but if you're Kens and Almond, you're going to have to wait about 20 more seconds before you can get the full squad back. News will be dropping in here. But what we see Kens doing, this is something that we also saw Miss Sweets on Aydan's team doing to great effect for her team yesterday. One of the reasons that they were able to win, she would find a spot, because she's not going to be that main slayer on their team. She finds a spot that she knows is going to be safe, that she can provide support if she needs to, any intel, comms, etc. But it also guarantees they'll get that revive as long as the redeploy is still available on the map. And there was multiple times her team was able to just fly at people and they knew they'd be able to get back into the action.
I don't know if that positioning for Kens was a voluntary choice, though, because Tommy was working with her, and Tommy had died, and it was Kens just kind of holding on to that little side of the tent canvas to try to see if they could survive long enough. And that's also maybe part of the benefit when you do run a 2-2 split. If one of the duos completely falls, the other duo just hits the brakes and waits for them to revive again. So there is some, like, pliability, if you want to call it that, off of running that kind of split mentality when you know for a fact that you're not just going to get fully team wiped by a squad that takes you completely off guard. But yeah, I don't think that was necessarily a predetermined strategy based on what we had seen previously from Tommy's point of view. But nonetheless, they will get back involved, at least in some form. But this is that critical moment as we start to finish off the second round. We inch further towards the third, and the no more redeploys by the resurgence effect alone. That's when you need to start seeing teams make sure that they're in fighting condition and have some ground to work with as the circle starts to finish off.
And here you could see Swagg on your screen. We talked about maybe it's Swish's day. They did get third overall in the final yesterday, and Swagg, a stand-up gentleman, actually gave his portion of the prize money to the wonderful lady on your screen here, New York Subliners
nice.
Swish'em. So we'll see if they can repeat that. They had an extremely successful day yesterday. I expect nothing less from them here today, but with Booyah going down and Biffle dead as well, you are going to have a bit of careful play style here until they revive, but a nice 7 seconds taken off the redeploy. Good shots there from Swish to take down that person top water tower.
And good individual kills starting to come through, it looked like, for that team as well, just for what it's worth. So definitely putting themselves in a position to find some success. Reminder, if you're joining us late, only 3 drops to qualify you out of groups and into the finals. So the margin for error is essentially 0. And we saw that from Jesse Cooks' team yesterday. We talked about that briefly at the top of the show. They won the first lobby and then finished 9th with 0 kills and became immediately under threat of being surpassed because of it. So you have to stay consistent. You have to be able to put in a position to at least score some significant points each and every single round. And as we jump back on board with Tommy Allman, Noobs, and Kens, all 4 players are ready. Fire sale, as you typically expect, is dropping in right before the 3rd circle comes into play. And that will allow everyone to kind of get UAVs involved and any other self-revives or maybe even a loadout drop if you still need it.
And this is one of those great moments for teams who are in a position to do so, to farm more kills. That fire sale is going to be what the desperate teams need to get their teammates back quicker if that redeploy isn't necessarily always available to them, or they're just by a buy station a little bit quicker. But Wars, he's been in the same location, and this is now the 2nd time he's died in that exact same spot. So I don't know if it's working any favors for him. You might want to find somewhere else to go. But at least in Tommy's case, he will redeploy here. Almond with that tempered perk, something that we saw players trial running initially. The likes of people like Rated rather were trying it out early on, and it's really caught wind with a lot of players. You can see Almond using it almost all the time now. Kind of depends on the player and what they prefer perk wise. But as Noobs falls, Almond watching over the top. Those redeploys are going to get pretty hefty. He has about 40 seconds. And if you guys don't know, in Rebirth, if you get a kill while your teammate needs to redeploy, it will shave time off that respawn for them. So Almond, I'm sure he can find a willing victim to help get Noobs back a little quicker.
Look at this play. J Devise's full squad comes up the little gondola to make it to the top floor. As you see the circle, whoever controls top prison block is going to likely be able to tally up an amazing amount of eliminations. But you have to feel like this is prime real estate, and there's going to be a number of teams who want to try to fight for this position. So that's the current really large battle, as we're 25 seconds away from disabling the natural respawns. And again, with this circle being dead center of the island, it's going to make a lot of really cause for concern for players that find themselves outside the prison block. For this reason exactly, you're just going to get shot at from so many angles.
So many angles, and that's what Booyah just experienced. He gets the down onto Juke. He's trying to land by his loadout, not able to finish it as he starts getting shot in the back, able to stim and get away as Hisoka is doing now. Both of them with, I think, about the similar amount of kills, 7 here for Hisoka. This is another team that performed quite well yesterday. They ended up taking 5th in the final and taking home a nice $2,000. But Hisoka here, we'll see what they can do. A good early start, and that'll be the first double-digit kills we've seen today. Booyah hitting 10 kills before he falls, but you can't be upset about that as we swing back over to Biffle, who's sitting at about 4. Good start.
Yeah, and I would say with that tally, you need to secure the multiplier now. If you really want to play for finals, which I think needs to be the mentality, we could hit off the gas a little bit here and try to play for that extra multiplier. With 7 total squads left, the last thing you want to do is be in pieces as you try to work into the top 5 or top 3. Extra kills starting to be put together, though. Swagg is in a good spot as he gets 4. Biffle staying alive, if only just barely, and this is that moment where the circle will actually start to push players out of prison block, at least a touch. This is where I would have to say maybe get somebody deeper on the bottom side of the circle just to see if they can maybe lay prone and just confirm that you've got an easy rotation in play as the circle starts to move.
And that's tough. Zlaner trying to get his loadout pinned down, had nowhere to go. There was not a scenario there in which he was going to survive, and he did not. Biffle now in a similarly difficult position as some chaos happens in a fight over top prison. Biffle will finally fall, leaving just 2 members of the team remaining for them to potentially make a comeback. But I agree, it's all about placement here. If you have one player above 10 kills, they've gone beyond what they need to do. But now, unfortunately, Swagg is all on his own. He knows that Biffle's bleeding out underneath him. He can't do much to save him at the time being, and there's 7 teams remaining. So yes, you will be able to get yourself a very small multiplier of 1.25, but even getting 2 more teams to die and hitting that 1.5 could make this a very good game for them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the huge thing is get yourself starting on a solid first game. And yeah, Swagg was trying to get the revive, but not going to be allowed to with the gas taking his friend away. And look at this group of 4 in the key position, as mentioned, up top on prison block for free. It's legendary, Sodzik, Uncivil. This squad had a couple of great moments yesterday, and they're in an absolutely perfect position to possibly find a win here with 18 total players remaining and still 7 squads. A lot of individuals to take part here for easy kills.
And I like this Swagg play. Unfortunately for him, you'd wish rather that he had at least some stims to utilize, but he will get those gas barriers and use them to just hopefully wait. That's all he's doing, right? Is just hoping these teams will start killing each other so that he can get some better placement. But with 15 people left, we're still managing to hold on to those 7 full teams, and that's no surprise, right? Especially when you get to the point, at least later on in these finals, where each of these maps is going to be worth $5,000, but well, you got to get there first, and it starts with getting a good score in map 1. And we take a look, well, Noobs in a similar position to Swagg does have 5 kills. Not too great of a situation though, as he's able to rack up 1 more, but unfortunately he doesn't have the stims, and well, that person got worked on. But unfortunately, there's always reinforcements, and Noobs will fall.
Yeah, fights in the gas like that, everyone's at 1 HP, right? Because no one has any armor plates. Everyone's just trying to toggle stims to try to cheekily get through the zone. So Noobs, I thought for a second, just put an absolute world star on, but there's a second player nearby. He will get traded out. And actually, we've got a couple of teams that are near full force. So not only is Device's team still at 3, but yeah, this is exactly that. It's going to be a 3v3 here. Juki's the only one to fall, and we know what Hisaka was able to do yesterday. He's on 7 in a row, and he's able to chew a couple of players that are rotating out of the smoke. There's a second, and then the third gets easily collected. Opening victory for Hisaka, and he's going to let him know about it.
No, I hit him with a fucking storm.
This is why I said, when you talk about the folks who have made a name for themselves in Caldera, Ahsoka, Z-Smith, certainly going to be 2 that you talk about, and not a shabby amount of comp. No surprise, well, it's the team that won map number 1. Team Juki's with 22 kills and 44 points, but teams IQ and Swagg right behind them at 39 and 29 points respectively. Now, it's interesting to note, right? Teams 1 through 3 had essentially the same kills each, 22, 22, and 23. But it's all about placement, the fact that Team Swagg only got 29 points out of those 23 kills. New winner in this qualifying map 2 of 3, and who's on your screen but Ahsoka? He got loud, he got hype out of his chair when they won map 1. I have a feeling he's going to carry a lot of that energy into this map.
Well, why not? I'm here for it. He's here for it. And it wasn't just that he got a little bit of energy. He had some words to say about some of the players that they were beasting around there at the end. So we'll see if that will maintain. But the thing that we noticed about a couple of teams, Juki's team in particular, is that they like to kind of land a little bit more remote in a way where it's a little bit safer of a guaranteed drop. Get yourself somewhere nearby station, get your early loadout, and then look to really take fights when everyone is at their prime. So that seems to be kind of the mentality here once again on our second drop. And why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Indeed, and yeah, if you have a routine that works well for you, and again, you're not going to win money in these maps, these are all about qualifying, then do that routine, especially when you know it's going to carry you. It carried you yesterday, and it worked to great effect. Now, IQ, those handy-dandy initial revives, helping him here up in the tower to get back up onto his feet. Otherwise, most likely would have died all on his own, as that's exactly, unfortunately, what happened to his teammate. But hey, a redeploy in 18 seconds should be very manageable for them. Gets an initial tag from Xenon. I don't know about that. I feel like that snipe should have at least been a blue on that armor, but unfortunately only gets a marginal amount of damage before that player screws away.
You also can see there on the left-hand side of the screen, big shout-outs to Mountain Dew and their new Flamin' Hot flavor. We talked about it yesterday, and it really kind of sat with me after we got off broadcast, Katie. This really does feel like one of those days when you're in middle school and you're just going to combine things and see how they taste. And it may sound strange, but I have to imagine it's absolutely delicious. So we're giving away cases of those. Make sure you type !Flamin' Hot in the chat to get your chance to win more giveaways. It feels like the viewership may be winning more than the players themselves.
That is a very real possibility. Everyone in chat, whether it's Coinbase, whether it's putting !Flaming Hot in chat for your chance to win one of the 6 cases they're giving away of Flaming Hot Mountain Dew. You guys have a lot of great chances to fatten your wallet and fill up your kitchen cabinet with some delicious Flaming Hot Mountain Dew. And we swing over to Ken's, rocking that beautiful Seattle Surge camo, and looking to have a better map than they did in map 1. Now, map 1 wasn't terrible by any means at all, but you are currently sitting in 5th place. And again, their kills solid. You have 14. Just combine that with a better multiplier. They should be good to go in terms of qualification in those top 4, but you also got to be careful you don't get beamed. We saw IQ's team over there earlier on, so now they'll be aware of that. Want to be a little bit careful.
We got money for you.
Oh, absolutely. And again, taking smart fights is always going to be a cause for concern in the early game. It just more importantly comes down to when there's no more redeploy. That's when you really want to set yourself up to really calculatedly, is that a word? More calculative.
It is now.
Word, some kind of adjective around calculating how many gunfights you want to take and where exactly you're taking them. So we get back on board with kind of a fadeaway fight here as Tommy Allman, Noobs, and Kens are in a little bit of trouble just on the back side of kind of this the seawall battery area. And the thing about it is you want to make sure that Noobs and Allman can also get down safely. This isn't just the fact that you're taking a 2v question mark fight, but you would love to get a full group of 4 involved so you can really collect on these kills. And, well, Kens gets caught off, and now it's just down to Tommy in this position.
And Tommy will be happy to go pick up that kill unaware. You can tell that player didn't maybe expect another person to be so close by, but a nice mount onto the wall and a beautiful kill for Sean J. Takes out Biffle. Drakota as well, getting a down, converting that into a kill of his own on Swagg. So, hey, we saw it. Swagg's team, they had a bit rough in placements, but not in kills in map 1. And, well, now Sean J's team putting them to the test here in the bottom side of prison. As we swing over to FaZe Blue as he tries to stay alive, but, well, destroying Oak Boy there to ruin his fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, this looks like for Destroy Oak Boy and co. that they're actually really finessing this bottom side of prison. Just kind of working and keeping almost a containment area into place where you just couldn't go anywhere if you were Drakota or anyone else on the team. We'll jump back over to Juki's squad. Again, they had a absolutely massive first game as well. Against a couple of other teams, 20+ kills is nothing to bat an eyelash at. And a little bit stuck here at the moment in headquarters, but they're getting a lot of information. It just comes down to what do you want to do with this now that you've got all these teams kind of scouted out around you.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? You have to be smart about what battles you choose to pick and be aware of what those battles might expose you to. If you know there's a large cluster of people in a certain area, yeah, that means you could get a high volume of kills, but it almost guarantees that you will consistently be third-partied and might find yourself in a situation you can't get out of. But speaking of situations and what these players are deciding to do as Biffle falls, I would love to do an Astro Listen In with Swisham's team alongside all the rest of the rock stars here. See what their comms are like as we have about 8 teams remaining. So let's go ahead and throw it to an Astro Listen In with Team Swisham.
Oh, just camping prison? Yeah.
Reinforcements are on the way.
They moved off of prison, kind of.
They're still up there.
There should be guns in bottom.
Squad member is
Probably land bottom prison.
Right here, resin, right here. I have one down.
Jesus Christ, brothering grandma's.
Blued.
enemy UAV.
Top prison too.
Alright, so I have no guns. We need to get Lodi somehow.
We almost have it. I grabbed this bounty.
Gas is inbound.
Contact with infantry.
Reinforcements are on the way.
He's in the air.
Objective is to eliminate the bounty target.
Moving on, shooter.
Is that chest inside? Fuck. Is this looted?
Enemy marked. All secure in the safe zone. Moving on, shooter.
Damn, bro, there's any fucking money anywhere.
I hear a chest. Portable buy. Let's put down. Plates. Do you have any plates, D?
There's a guy in here, dead.
Where's his teammates at?
I think they were coming. Do you have enough?
No. Yeah, but
No one gonna so ass, bro. Bro, who's making?
Close, tag him once in the snipe, he's dropping fast. Cracked him, cracked him.
Where?
Well, it might be meta, but Booyah not super happy with the Owen gun there in that kill. And that's something that we were talking about off broadcast too, Shift. It seems like, for the most part, a lot of people rocking that XM4 Owen combo.
Yeah, the rate of fire obviously is a big part of the reason why damage across range is also very good across both weapons, so it definitely makes sense. And I think the biggest thing, and when we kind of had both the XM4 and the M4 from Modern Warfare in the meta way back when, it has a quick ADS time, so your ability to go from sprint to fire is pretty good for an AR, and yeah, it's just a really versatile weapon. So yeah, pretty universal it looks like for the most part. Owen obviously has been around since pretty much Rebirth has been competitive over the last 2 months or so, but obviously, as you mentioned, not really happy about what has just happened to him inside prison. But I think it's interesting too, even though it was an Astro game listening, we didn't really hear many comms, and I think that just goes to show that they got the positions that they wanted to, and they're just trying to use those for as many kills as possible for this mid-game stage. And for the most part, from Swish's perspective, well, I think it worked out pretty nicely. But we can still kind of hear the aggressive comms as you would expect from Mutex and Co. And they're doing a really nice job kind of clearing out this headquarters area.
Yeah, this is going to be a very chatty team. Definitely a stark difference from what we saw out of Swagg's team. But we kind of expect that, right? Biffle is not going to be the most talkative player in the world, but they didn't necessarily need to be. But Mutex's team is all comms all the time. They are moving as a pack, trying to work together. It's Destroy on your screen with his 5th kill so far, alongside Mutex and Queen and Co. But I like this. We've seen actually Oakboy in this similar position a few times now, and it's been working out very well for him.
No.
Unless he wastes some bullets on the side of a door, doesn't expect another person to be there, and then gets down. But teammates should be there to save the day with Queen watching over.
Yeah, there's plenty of members that were here to finish up, but that was definitely an unfortunate gunfight. Running low on ammunition, you wanted to try to secure the kill. You jump down, parachute pops, you hit the door as you mentioned, and whoop, there's a second teammate. So, causes a little bit more concern, but I will say, just for what it's worth, kind of comparing, obviously we're not doing a full-on Astro game listening, but just hearing how Destroy and Mutex and Co. are trying to move around the map, comparatively to some teams that are just like, we're just going to 2-2 split, or we're just going to kind of just individually play the map. I prefer that. I prefer them moving as a full group with a full loadout, getting aggressive, trying to play for full team wipes in a regard. And obviously with that, look where the next circle is going to be. They put themselves in a perfect spot, letting themselves get ready for this 4th hill that's about to come into play.
We saw that nice shots out of Juki's team there as well, down toward kind of that docks area, just trying to lock people down who are getting pushed in by the storm. Again, Juki's team took map 1 with a nice win, are currently sitting in 1st place. But Mutex's team, a good position to be in. And now I have the real important question for you, Shift. How soon do you think we're going to see someone jump down and accidentally break their ankles?
Oh, it happened a couple of times yesterday, so I would say sooner rather than later, Katie, especially with how many buildings are coming into this last circle over here. Definitely a possibility. And there were some moments, I would say, just for what it's worth, on that sniper tower battle where it almost happened. So I would wager sooner rather than later. I'll take the under on that call.
I like that.
But as we get into this...
I think maybe we could make it into a Coinbase milestone.
We absolutely
break your ankles,
could.
and there you go.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. But interestingly enough, we've disabled the respawn. We still have 8 teams and 23 players. So a lot of our squads, whether they're in pieces or in full groups of 3 or 4, they've done well to at least stay competitive in these final moments.
Yeah, they certainly have. That's a great point. I do believe it's Sean Jay's team that was the first team to get eliminated. We saw them having early success taking down a number of players on Swagg's team, but I think maybe it ran into some prison trouble beyond that. But now take a look. These teams have been surviving for a while, but like 6 or 7 people have just died. It went from about 23, 24 down to 16 now. So a wealth of fighting occurring, and still 8 teams remaining. So a lot more solos, or at least duos, just trying to sit in their hidey holes, and this is one of them. Wars and Oakboy trying to stay alive. Swagg's team in a little bit better of a position, and nice kills so far. Swagg sitting at that 7. Swish is full dead, but Biffle, Booyah, and Swagg still alive and well, so certainly in a position with 11 other players on the map to maybe turn this into a win.
And there's only 2 key buildings in this circle at the moment, and the one that you see for Swagg and Co that they're kind of holding on to is also going to be the rotation point as this circle moves. So they're in not just a great position to kind of stay safe, but they're also in a great position when it comes to getting more kills as teams in pieces start to rotate through them. And even more so, for what it's worth, love this call from Booyah. He's going to make the first move to try to get into the new zone to kind of, again, just like leapfrog with your teammate. You kind of pass the baton. You watch old, I'll watch new. Get yourself set up for the best position possible, and we've got a 1v1v1v1 4 solos to finish out to see who wins this second drop.
And yeah, that was a long route from Booyah, but it might just pay off for him. Hisoka scrambling in the storm, does still have a stim to use, but he's getting tagged up, has to use it maybe a bit earlier than he wanted, but he can convert that into a buyback for Skullface, but now continuing to get tagged up. And who is that? Of course, but at least one player left alive here on a roof, able to get a down and a kill, but might get taken out himself. Booyah does have 2 stims, and he's just playing the storm game, hoping that these players take each other out on their own, and I do not hate it. Again, you'd think with only 4 players and all solos, they might have run into each other by now, but Booyah, I think he's saying, hey guys, if you could hurry up and kill yourselves, and that's exactly what they do. Now just 3 teams remaining. 2 other solos guarantees him that even better milestone, or rather multiplier, and well, Skullface comes back to life, but not for long.
Keep a note on that play from Hisoka and Skullface. We'll need to finish out this final 1v1, but it looks like Booyah will drop. But, okay, 5x5 squad is going to take the dub. A 24 kill win. That'll work out nicely, but I'm not going to lie. I am most impressed by how Hisoka was able to play out that final circle. He was in 7th position by himself in a very bad spot and was able to get through to the top 4, buy a teammate back, which actually allowed them to get into the top 3. So consistency being key, but that little finesse at the end turns a win in the first group drop into a top 3 position here in the second. They're going to be in a prime position at the match at the top of the leaderboard still.
Yeah, Hisoka making that play crucial for his team, as well as the play that Booyah made paying off for them very well as well, because they were able, whether it was second or third or whatever it was, they got a great multiplier that they were missing out when they had the solid kills first map. So I think really heads up plays by both Hisoka and Booyah, but of course the team of the day right now, at least for map 2, is team 5x5, and a really nice amount of kills to couple with that first place. They had a rather rough map number 1. They were one of the first teams to get eliminated. All right, let's take a look at the leaderboard and see if the teams have shifted around. Now, it was 5x5's team that got a very solid 24 kill ×2 multiplier win in map 2, and that was good enough to take them from being at, I think, 8th or 9th place to jumping all the way into a qualifying position with 52 points in 4th. But we talked about it. Juki's team continuing to dominate. A great play from Hisoka that shift covered in map 2, allowing them to get the multipliers to put them into that first place position with 70 points. But Team Swagg, again, also a great play from Booyah to keep them alive in those multipliers to put them into second place.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it's been consistent so far, but now after their 6th place finish in Group 1, it came with a significant boost in the multiplier here in Game 2. You have to remember that yesterday, the team on the bubble, which was 5x5, scored 56.75 points or something like that and missed out on the final. So to get into the top 4, the metric from yesterday was right around